of everything that Rainy has been up to since day one. It's my pleasure to welcome Architect Obasui to take today's Q&A, and we usually do it in this format. There is a 30-minute maximum of the presenter speaking about the issue at hand, and then at least 30 minutes afterwards for questions, answers, and comments. So, should I say fasten your seatbelts and get your pen and paper ready and your questions, and I hope you have a great time with us today. Thank you very much.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Architect Emmanuel Obasui, and I will be taking you on damps, molds, and rising damps in your building. So, Omorere, please, can you project the slide? Okay. While we wait for Omorere, basically, I want to believe that majority of us should we should be familiar with the word damp, mold, and rising damp. And now we are here basically this evening to talk about the health hazards that are attributed to all of these things. Majority of the spaces or the homes where we live in today are badly ventilated. So for buildings that are badly ventilated, you cannot stay in such a building and be healthy. So there's a need for your building to be healthy. There's also a need for your building to be properly built. Thereby, it would help your health. Just the same way the food we consume, how it has a good impact on our health, is the same way our buildings are towards our health. So in situations where we have buildings that are badly affected by molds, by damps, there is absolutely no way you would stay in such a building and be healthy. Over the years, we've had several calls from people to come and help them inspect their buildings due to the fact that they've repeatedly been visiting the hospitals, which some people are which they do not know what the cause or the causes for these things are. So to the next slide, please. So we're talking about, go back, please. We want to talk about your health and how it is attributed to your long life, and how it's attributed to the building you stay. It's a power of choice. There, as you can see, the image to your right hand side, you can see the difference between the one at the upper part, that's showing a brown what they call it, a brown bricks, and the one beneath showing a damped bricks. So here now, this is just showing you how what can be attributed to sick buildings. So any building that is badly affected by damp can be attributed to sick building. And what is damp? Damp basically occurs from we can say damp are penetrations of moisture inside a building, and it can occur from the floor, it can be from the walls, and also can be from the roof. From the floor, it's usually from the floor, which we can call foundation, is usually called rising damp. These are capillary actions rising from your foundation into your block wall. So when all of this happens, you observe that your block walls are soaked up. In such a case, you observe that there's no amount of paint applied on your wall. That wall becomes flaky. You begin to see the paint being, some will be blistered. You see different types on your wall. You see it in powdery format. You see that your walls can't hold the paint. When you see such a situation, you know fully well that your walls are damped, and that could have been as a result of improper use of damp-proof membrane and damp-proof course. Damp-proof membrane is a polyethylene material during foundation that is spread across your floor. I want to believe we all know maybe what I'm talking about. A black polyethylene sheet during construction that is spread across your floor. Okay, I believe we have, yeah, exactly. Thank you. Go back to the next page, please. To the previous page, yeah. So if we can see the image by our right-hand side, towards the bottom right-hand side, that's a damp-proof membrane. It's usually done to prevent rising damp from your foundation, from the earth, from the earth, from rising into your block walls. Why damp-proof course is a polyethylene is another membrane that is laid above your foundation to seal up any form of and serve as a barrier, a waterproof barrier from the rising damp that might be occurring in your foundation. So all of these things are technicalities that ought to be done during construction. And if they are not done, that is when you start seeing damps in your and molds in your building. So you can go back to, I think, the third page so that we can continue from there. Okay, so in situations where you begin to have respiratory issues, you begin to have airborne infection, chronic fatigue, bacterial exposure, and when you constantly begin to have all of these things, and you might need to look inward, that is, look within where you spend majority of your time, which is your home. So in such a situation, we've had instances where people complain of what they call it, different form of sicknesses, headaches, dizziness, irritation of the eyes as well, dry and itchy skin, difficulty in breathing, most especially for children and for women. Whenever you begin to have difficulty in breathing within your space, which is sometimes attributed to spaces that are not well ventilated, then you know fully well that such a space is not good for you. Can we go on, please, to the next slide? Okay, so these are pictorial evidences of what a damp wall is. To the left, you see a moldy walls. By the time you begin to see this discoloration on your wall, it could be blackish, it could be brownish, it could be majorly blackish and brownish. You know your wall has been badly affected by mold. And it is not just on walls, it could also be on ceiling as well. Mold appears on walls, it appears on ceiling, it appears where else? Yeah, majorly within your space, especially when the space is confined. So also when you see your paint on the walls being flaky, that is a red sign telling you that your walls are damp. So these are signs that you need to pay attention to very well. The same way we are very cautious of what we take in as of today, it's the same way we should be cautious of the environment we live in. You want to rent a property, there are some, without you even bringing anybody who is a building professional on board, there are things you should look out for. You want to build, there are things you should look out for, because all of these things are subject to time. And there's absolutely, I've heard of people saying my immune system is very strong. It can what's the word? It can get accustomed to any living condition. My brother, no. Issues like this will keep reoccurring, and by the time you really do not take note of it, you just observe that you are spending more and you are taking medications, or you are having to go to the hospital to spend, and also to take drugs that are unnecessary for your health. So now we are here to enlighten you, to explain the hazards of living in homes that are not supporting your health. So in cases where maybe someone complains of constant headaches without doing any strenuous things, I would advise you look inward. Whenever you see cracks, leakages, peeling on paints, you need to consult a building professional. Do you feel tired after spending long hours indoors? It could be that the air quality in your space, or in your room, or in your living room, is very poor. It's so worrisome that we are in the age where our climatic condition in Nigeria, it should be that the spaces should be as open as possible for you to get more air in. But it's a pity that majority of the development that are happening in Nigeria, we see windows with tiny, we see tiny windows. Every space is just locked up. The air quality there would definitely be poor. Maybe, and in some cases due to bad construction from our so-called Nigerian developers, all in the name of trying to cut corners, or make money, or make profits. But on the long run, these are things that are affecting our health. Next slide, please. Okay, so going back, talking about the rot, that's the root problem, the problem of what we are discussing, which is rising damp or dampness. Rising damp, groundwater traveling upward, penetrating damp is slow, prolonged rain soaking into the exterior walls over time. Some people do not know that maybe there are leakages in their roof. Before you know it, your walls are damp, your ceilings are bad, and before you know it, it's affecting your health. Next slide, please. So we also have instances where dampness could occur from leakages, internal leakages. For example, your embedded pipes, your toilet embedded pipes or kitchen pipes, or your supply pipes. It could be supply, it could be waste pipe. Some of them over time would have lost their what they call it, their strength, or some might have been punctured, and before you know it, it's causing leakage into the block wall, and before you know it, your walls are damp, and the structure would even be affecting the structural stability of your building. So in cases where you are seeing damp, you are seeing what they call it, cracks on building, you are seeing anything already a red flag. telling you that you need to consult a building professional. Next slide, please. Okay, so why do your paint peels? Why do they peel? Basically, just as I've said, trapped moisture. In some cases, before your paint peels, your block wall is soaked up, your plastering is soaked up. When your block wall and your plastering cannot retain the water anymore, that is when your paint start peeling. And there is no amount of application. Some people have gone to the extent of applying cosmetic on their walls. What I mean by cosmetic is applying tiles. Some people say, okay, just cover it up with tiles. You are only prolonging the what they call it, the issue because that does not it's not going to solve the problem. So I would say we have situations where we have treated majority of all these problems. So in cases where you have all of this in your homes, or maybe your homes or your offices, and it's not subjected to your homes alone, it could even be there are molds in some office spaces as well, due to bad quality of air, due to maybe leakage or something like that. So we advise you call on SpaceCube Construction. This is where we can come in to help you salvage the situation. Keep going, please. So, just as I've said earlier, we might not take this issue of mold very serious, but these are things that can harm you. Molds in buildings are things that it's a disease that we would want you to be very, very careful about. So in case you are buying a building, in case you are renting a building, these are things you should look out for. Everyday activities such as cooking, showering, creating moisture without proper airflow. This entrapped moisture stays within the building. There are instances where you go to some people's living room, some people's bedroom, and you see a very small window where moisture is trapped in. Though there might be tiles there, before you know it, there are some due to bad workmanship, there are some instances where maybe improper grouting could also leak. It could lead into, it could allow the walls beneath or behind to be penetrated by moisture. So these are things that we would want you to look out for. Walls that do not receive adequate sunlight or cause ventilation are guaranteed to have dampness. So there are ways at which people try as much as possible to boycott several things in terms of trying to cut costs. You don't have adequate sunlight in your bedrooms. You do not have cross ventilations in your bedrooms. You would how will I put it? You would, on the long run, it will have a toll on your health. Stagnant moisture or air also are prime breeding grounds for harmful bacteria and toxic mold spores. These are areas that professionals like SpaceCube can help you look into. Keep going, please. Decay and rust. Okay, damp also cause decays. It causes decays and rust in metals, decays in wooden structures, and also it causes corrosion in metals. So when a wall is very damp, it can lead to corrosion. The metal grills or metal burglary proof that is around the building or around the windows, you can see it can start corroding because the moisture is trapped. It can also lead to ruined interiors, peeling and ugly floors and constant damp carpets. All of these are attributes of mold. Also, electrical hazards. Electrical hazard like it deteriorates electrical installations, creating dangerous short circuit risk. We have seen situations whereby it damages your electrical systems in the building. So we've seen situations whereby your POP ceiling boards are falling off. Those can be attributed to structural damage. We have seen situations whereby it weakens what they call it. It weakens your block work, and it disintegrates your block wall, causing efflorescence. So by the time you start seeing some whitish powdery substance on your walls as a result of dampness, you know fully well that there's something going on within your building. The same way we maintain our health should be the same way we maintain the spaces we live in. And reduced lifespan. So talking about reduced lifespan, it reduces the entire lifespan of a building. We've seen buildings that are less than 20 years since it has been built, and you find it very hard that this building is less than 20 years. And we've seen buildings that are over 45 years and they are still structurally very stable. It's all about maintenance. It's all about damp is something whereby if it creeps into your building and it is not properly resolved, or you don't pay attention to it on time, it will even cost you more. It's going to cost you more. Apart from affecting your health, you have a whole lot of things to spend on. So the earlier the better you observe that your wall is damp, your wall is flaky, your wall is is showing signs of blistering, the earlier the better you maintain it. Next slide. Okay, so talking about the immediate first aid for homeowners. For plumbing, we say, okay, plumbing and leakage, we say you get it resolved immediately. Same thing for damp. So you have to repair or call on building professionals to come around to help you look into your buildings. So in situations where you have stagnant water located all around, anywhere around your property, please do well to make sure that that water does not find its way into its foundation. And one of the reasons for dampness in building again is now we do not have adequate water runoff during rainy season. Everywhere has been everywhere has been cemented. Everywhere is full of concrete hardscape, and as at now, you will see that even our our drainage systems are bad. So the best way, whichever loophole the water is able to find into your foundation, it gets there. The water is retained inside the foundation there, and before you know it, your block wall of your building start absorbing such water, and before you know it, start affecting the structural stability of your building. Improve indoor ventilation by using exhaust fans in kitchen, bedrooms to push moist air outside. Very important. In situations where your building is not well ventilated, there are some mechanical form of ventilation that we recommend to people as well to help the building, to bring down the moisture level of the building. So also ensure that drains are kept away from the building, just like I said earlier. So however, these are temporary measures. These are temporary measures, first aid temporary measures in solving this problem. So if we're talking about permanent cure for a wall or a building that is badly affected by damp, we would advise you introduce a damp-proof membrane and a damp-proof course. And just like I said earlier, the damp-proof membrane is the first form of introduction of waterproofing element that is to be introduced for new buildings, for new construction. While the damp-proof course is immediately after your foundation, your oversight concrete, which we call German floor. These are different forms of mitigating against damp walls or rising damp in buildings. Next slide. So these are, as you can see, these are what they call it, just explanations to DPC versus DPM, damp-proof course and damp-proof membrane. Damp-proof course is placed horizontally on walls. It prevents moisture from rising upward. Made of bitumen, PVC, or metal, used in masonry construction. While damp-proof membrane, it is laid over your before your oversight concrete. It is placed under concrete. It prevents moisture from entering the floor. Then is made of polythene or similar material used in flooring application. So that these are the two differences in mitigating methods of mitigating over damped walls, or damped walls. So next slide, please. Talking about construction mistakes that causes damp. Our last slide talking about ignoring DPC and DPM during foundation works. These are silly mistakes that should not be entertained in this age that we find ourselves. Whoever is your construction manager or your project manager and forgets to tell you about DPC or DPM, such person ought to be queried, because these are methods of helping you to prolong your building's stability and longevity. Poor exterior waterproofing. At every level of building construction now, we recommend that waterproofing ought to be done. Even on your plastering, there are chemicals now. By the time buildings are being constructed, are being built, there are chemicals, there are additives that can be used that can help to cushion ingress of water on your block wall. Using cheap and porous block. Those are things that we know fully well that are very common among our developers, our Nigerian developers. Baba Mulika plumbing jobs. So every aspect of building construction ought not to be taken with levity. Because if you, the client, knows fully well that your building is your health, the same way what you eat is your health, you will know fully well that if you make a mistake in not doing all of these things, then on the long run, it's going to affect your health and also affect your pocket, because the cost of repairs now is even way more than the cost of doing it right. So that is why we are bringing you SpaceCube Africa. We in SpaceCube, we do inspections, we do diagnostics. We don't just cover up the problem, we find the root cause of the moisture. Why we are so buoyant in talking about damp, which is very common in majority of the buildings that we live in now, is because over the years we've had several cases of people calling us to come into their spaces to help them diagnose their building and also
we've been able to give them lasting solutions to majority of their problem. We tell them what the problem is. If the problem is from a leakage problem, we let them know. If the problem is attributed to foundation, we tell you. Our in-house team members, right from structural to architects to electrical to plumbers to all of our artisans, are well equipped to figure out what the problem is. Then expert installation, we don't compromise on technicalities. We bring technical precision to retrofittings, DPM and laying of DPMs, ensuring long-lasting structural integrity. Whatever it is that we recommend for our clients, we are so keen on the technicality aspect of it, because if we are able to resolve all of these problems technically, we know fully well that it's going to help and it's going to save our clients in a whole lot of ways. One thing we can also guarantee you is LDR living. We do not just deliver anyhow kind of building. We deliver dry, safe, and beautiful spaces as seen in our renovations. So these are sorry, go back please. What we mean by LDR living is that we guarantee whatever it is that we will be doing for you, from renovation to new construction to project consultancy. Whenever we are on board, we tell you what you should look out for, what is workable and what is not workable. Next slide, please. So who we are, just like I said, we are SpacecubeAfrica. We are a turnkey construction company. We specialize in different type of building, constructing different types of, from residential to commercial to institutional buildings to hospitality buildings, every type of building. We deliver anywhere within Nigeria, and we assure you, we guarantee you that working with us would be very profitable. These are to your right hand side, if you can zoom in. Okay, these are feedbacks from some of our clients about jobs that we've done for them, and they're commending our team on job well done. So I don't know how many minutes I have left. So next slide. So these are pictures of before and after of renovation. This particular project is for a family in Edo State, Auchi precisely. And what we did here we were able to detect leakages from their plumbing issues, from their toilets. We detected the leakages. We changed all the plumbing fittings internally and externally, and we gave them the best what they call the best plumbing fittings that are in town now. And also, even before, why we are so sure of whatever it is we do here is that, or why we're so sure is that we did testing. We did testing for all of this, for everything we did here, and they passed. So that gave us a good guarantee that the job we've done is very, very okay. Next slide. So this is the exterior look of the before and after. Before and while the project is ongoing, and the process showing you of the building in Auchi. Next slide. So okay, also this is to the left shows the picture shows a new roofing carcass being done. By the time we got to site, we observed that the pitch for the building was very low, and it could also result in
retaining water whenever rain falls. So we recommended, part of our recommendation was that the client should re-roof the building with a very good slope, so that whenever it rains, the water finds its way down without waiting on the roof. So this is showing the process of we working on a new timber carcass for the client. Next slide. Okay, so these are several of our social media handles that that you can reach us on. We are available on all of the platforms. We are available on Twitter. We are available on LinkedIn. We are available on Instagram. And also our website is www.SpacecubeAfrica.com. The phone number, you can connect with us, and we will be ready to serve you and help you live an healthy life. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Architect Emmanuel Obasi. It's been a pleasure listening to you, and I'd like to know if anyone has specific questions for your situation. So if you are battling with mold in your house, for the sake of time, we will not be able to present all manner of scenarios for mold, but if you're able to ask specific questions for your situation, you will be able to respond to it, and we can get you going. This is the hour where you can ask questions and you will get answers. And if it's not something that can be resolved here, we'll definitely take you up after the call. So feel free to unmute yourself, or if you are in a noisy place, you want to drop a chat, do well to ask your questions. Make it
okay,
unfiltered.
good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for sharing. I saw it on the SnagInspector Instagram. I follow the account. So what I want to find out is, if one wants you to come and do diagnostics, like in their building, how does one go about it? And is there any particular costs as it were, or when you inspect, if the people work with you, I mean, that's where you take it on, because all the things that you've shown, I've seen them in places where I am at the moment and all over. I mean, one wish that builders, property developers, they actually do this. And there are times that until you start living in a place that either you've rented or you've bought, you don't necessarily see some of these things until you start using it. But since you want a healthier living, you want to sort the matter out. So is there like a blanket inspection fee, at least for your people to come see the space, prefer the solutions, and then they now take it from there?
Okay,
thank you.
I will. Oh, thank you very much, Miss. Is it Miss or Mrs. Adebimpe Adebambo? Okay. I would. Hello.
Hello. I mean, Adebimpe is fine, or Miss or whatever. I mean, can call me by my first name, is fine.
All right. So I would, for the purpose of this call, I would exercise my executive discretion, and I would offer everyone who is on this call something that we have talked about in the past. There will be, if you want a visual assessment of your location, but it has to be somewhere in Lagos metropolis, in Abuja metropolis, or any major city where our technical persons can easily get to. So if you are somewhere far-flung, like in Badagry, this offer will not cover you, because the cost of coming to your location is going to be significant. So there is a visual assessment program where the technical persons come in with a bit of tools. They come with the moisture meter, which is a critical tool to know the moisture level in your building on particular surfaces in your building. and they will check. However, if it includes hacking down your walls and all that, that's a different conversation entirely. But I will be dropping the customer service number here so you can engage with them further. But that is my offer as President Rainy to everyone who is on this call. It's for 100,000 naira only. And it is available to everyone on this call who wants their space to be checked. Oh, I am not sure what is happening. I need you to come around. They would come around and use some tools, and the tools are largely accurate because some of them would involve let me describe it for you. So if it's a good wall, the moisture level will be very low. But if it's a bad wall, the moisture level will be very high. And the higher the moisture level, the more you're in trouble. So it's a scientific way to know if there really is water in your wall, or it's a leakage, or it's driving rain, or even, sometimes there's even leakage from the roof. But all of these are conversations that you can have when you talk to the customer care person. I've dropped the number there. They would ask you a few questions. They would require that you send a video of your space so that they can do some evaluation before coming to your location. I hope that answers your question. After that,
thank you, Mr. Olufunsho. So are you just saying that if we message the number you've dropped, we should just say, okay, Mr. Olufunsho said we should contact them, and he said anyone on the call had the discount or whatever you call it of 100,000 for inspection, provided the person is in the locations you mentioned?
Yes, but this does not include, let's be clear, to every promo there is a term and a condition. This does not include climbing roofs, hacking down your walls, because there are cases where we have seen where they need to hack down a wall to know what exactly is happening. You are not going to ask them to do that for 100,000 naira in good conscience.
Okay, no, I get that. So like it's to check the building like on the surface level. It's not climbing roofs, and it's not hacking down walls. I mean, hacking down walls is already doing the job, so it makes reasonable sense that that will not be part of the offer that you are giving. So it's the 100K flat rate, right? That's
Yes.
the best you can do for anyone on this call.
Yes, that's the best we can do, because we always have professionals who go out to these places, and there is also a lot of reporting that they must do to advise you on the next step. They would also have to prepare a renovation, like a solution bill, so which may extend towards renovation, but at least they would sit down to count the cost of fixing the problem for you, and that is a lot of work. So we have found a way to appeal to our technical persons to make this happen on behalf of the collective. I hope you will take advantage.
Thank you very much. I will message the number right away. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Do we have any questions or comments from anyone else? I know that some people, so one area that Architect Basu did not really dwell on is the aspect of roofing. A lot of people have also compromised in their roofing methodologies and their roofing materials. They use very light roofing materials, inferior thickness. So you're supposed to use 0.55. They ended up going to buy 0.3 gauge steel. You are going to pay for it. Your roof is going to leak at some point, either in full or in part. Ms. Adeda Emakini, please go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, SpacecubeAfrica and SnagInspector for this wonderful presentation. I would like to add my own personal experience to the information provided. and my personal advice. Back in, I think between 2010 and 2017, I lived in Abuja, and there were some estates. There were some estates that I resided in that, unfortunately, their building practices, as was pointed out in the presentation, were not standard. And there was a house. Okay, so even if you are renting right now, these things to look out for should be emphasized. There was a particular house that we were staying in a flat downstairs. There was an upstairs flat. And because of this, we just realized that one of the rooms, things were always choking, like you could barely breathe well inside the room. And we decided to try and repair the pipes. Apparently the plumbing that leads upstairs for the bathroom, for the bathroom there and toilet was not well done. We paid for these repairs 3 times, and it didn't solve the problem. By the time we had stayed there for like 2 years plus, and we welcomed our first child, our child. At one point, we painted over all the scaly walls, like it was shown in the presentation. It didn't work. We repaired the plumbing. It didn't work. At a particular point, water itself started seeping out of the walls, and we couldn't even breathe. We had to go rent a hotel. Now that was phase one. There was another house that we moved into that seemed everything was okay. Walls were freshly painted, and it's all good. It was a bungalow. There was no upstairs, flat. So we actually felt that there would be no issues like where we were coming from. We moved out of that second house in 6 months. Why? Because water was seeping from down up the walls, especially in the bathrooms. So I'm going to need everyone to be conscious of the fact that you don't need to wait until you are owning your own apartment or building your own house before you say, this doesn't concern me. I'm just a renter. I've not started building yet. No, you need to look out for some things. I would love specialists to point out to us anyway. You need to look out for some things when you are renting, because from my research, I was really paranoid because of my baby. From my research, those mold spores, they are invisible. They can actually affect the brain. It's not just fatigue and tiredness like the symptoms that were pointed out in the presentation in the beginning. It can also affect the brain chemistry. Like that's like permanent damage that you cannot even detect until it's almost too late. So yes, this concerns us. It's a very, very key concern. And the last question, what can we look out for as people that are renting places, please? Thank you.
All right. I'd like our General Secretary, who is also an architect, I'd like him to speak to this issue, especially from a parenting perspective, because you have touched a very sensitive area. If he's available, architect's testimony, are you around?
Okay, good evening. I hope you can all hear me clearly. I had to hide because of because of the family, obviously. So if you can all hear me, thank you very much, Mrs. Makinde, for this. So I will try to breeze through. First thing you said, you are very right. Everyone should take note of these issues because they affect mold in particular, and damp, because damp, when it dries, it lets a lot of things loose into the atmosphere, both the mold and damp. So the damp itself does not always lead to mold. It sometimes doesn't lead to mold, but it leads to flaking of your paint, your what do you call it, the plastering, all of those things that we lay on the wall before we paint, and the paint itself. By the time the mold has taken it, it's then, and even the tiles, behind the tiles, all of those things, they come in, of course, because there's sand in that mixture. Is the natural habitat for mold, spirogyra, all those things we learned in SS1 biology or JS1 integrated science. So just as you have rightly said, everyone should pay attention. Now, I usually tell people one of the videos that we did on SnagInspector a couple of, I think it was last year now. The story I said was exactly my child's story. We had that incubator scenario. It was exactly my child. I just didn't use his own video. He had to be intubated twice because we're living in a very damp house in Irawo in Lagos. And that place, interestingly, there was no mold, visible mold, but it was the damp that was coming from, there was a wall that was damaged in, what do you call it? There was a wall damaged by a pipe. Long story short, there was damp and we had to take him to the hospital repeatedly. The moment we moved to another house in 2023 that was dry, everything changed. He automatically got better. He used to have catarrh, phlegm in his throat every 2 days. It was consistent. He just stopped. So number one, like you've said, is we should always look around the houses, even when they've just been painted. We should pay attention to the quality of the work. Sometimes it's intuitive because you cannot tell that something is damaged if it has not compounded sometimes. So sometimes it's more intuitive in the sense that you just look around and you see if there is a crack, if there is, for example, if they've not damp-proofed, like was mentioned in the presentation, if they've not damp-proofed the ground floor outside very well, it is very likely, obviously, that the inside is not going to be good. If you rent in rainy season, if it's not a new house, that one is easy, because if it's not a new house, you will already see during dry season the lines of the moisture, even in the places that are not wet area, marshy areas. So yes, look out for those two things. And if you can afford it, can have people like us come in to use our tools to examine the facility. But of course, that is budget, tied to the budget. Another thing that I would like to emphasize is if you are not building, if you are renting and you're on the top floor, second floor, whatever, always, as much as possible, when you want to rent, look around the house. Meaning, if you can go upstairs, go upstairs. If your room is if your living room, your bedroom, and such areas are directly below someone else's wet rooms, that's their kitchen, their toilets, you are at a higher risk because things can go off in that. So pay very special attention to the upper walls as well. I think that's what I would say, so that I don't take too much of our time. I hope I touched everything. If I didn't, you can let me know what I didn't touch.
Okay, thanks for sharing. So please, what I just wanted to suggest is also good to put a name to the voice we hear on SnagInspector, Kotia. So what I wanted to suggest, please, because I'm sure many people would have wanted to be on this call but couldn't. Is it possible that you do to save souls, is it possible you do some of this explanation, maybe like on, if you people have the YouTube channel, so that we can share? Because not even everyone also it's on Instagram, and then some social media that if you're not on them, you can't see posts, but YouTube everyone can share, because I'm sure many people, they don't know these things, and people are perishing, and it's just interesting that it's what actually happened to you that you actually shared. Thanks for doing that. So that's just what I want to, this just my appeal, so that this whole thing can get to a wider range of people. Thank you.
All right. So 2 things I will promise you is that this session is going on YouTube. So we would also, if you want us to send it to you, the link to you via WhatsApp or however, please just say hello to the WhatsApp number, and the recording will be shared with you. The other thing to watch out for is swollen painted areas and black spots. Omori, please help me skip to that place where you have, so a lot of old houses in Lagos, Abuja, most of those houses were done when DPM and DPC was not a common practice. So if you look at this particular image, for example, you would see that even when they paint something over it, there will still be some form of crustiness. The bottom part of the building will be swollen, or it will feel cold to touch. I'm not saying your building should be hot, but there is an uneven coldness that comes even to your palm that you will feel when you touch that surface, that you know that there is trapment of moisture here. Second one is discoloration of the wall. When your wall soaks water over time, it will get discolored. There is no two ways about it. Even if they flake it over, it will get discolored, or the paint start to crack, it will get discolored. If it's your neighbor's waste or supply pipe that is doing havoc to you, maybe someone upstairs is their supply or their waste pipe is the one that has problem, you would feel wetness in certain areas. So when you get into a building, check out for those things first. As you are entering into the building, check the entrance, the close to the floor level. Can you see some bulginess, some swollen surface? If it's a new one, maybe they've scraped it, they've done anything, try to touch for wetness. When you do that, you start to see traces of work that has been carried out in the past. If you see that they've paid extra attention, for example, to tiling all the ground, should I say a red flag or an amber flag? It should be uncomfortable. Especially when they use big tiles to skirt the whole floor, they are trying to cover something. For rooms, check out for the smell of rotten wood. Check out for rustiness in the burglary proofs, or burglar proofing. I don't know which some people say is burglar proofing. As you're entering into the building, look at the floor. If they have burglar proofing, you will see rust in those places. Those things are usually easy to spot if you are not in a hurry to pay for the house. What usually happens is that people they love the fine house and they're not willing to even pause and evaluate what they are trying to pay for before. So this is another example. Look towards the toilets and the bedrooms. If you see this kind of symptom on the pipes, you should do a double check. It may not confirm anything. It may just be weathering effects of time, but let that be an alarm bell in your head that you need to check the place again. Then you go to the bathroom. If the bathroom is stuffy, you need to check. By the time you combine one or two or three of these signs together, it is enough for you to say, hold up, I like this place, but I will need a professional to help me check, if you are not a professional. And then you are able to apply brakes. If the professional now checks and says, oh, the building has DPM, or it's a plumbing issue, or this or that, then you can know if you want to deal with that problem, or you want to remove your slippers, dust it, and pick race, because it's a life and death matter now. So I hope that is lucid and clear enough for anyone who is not a building professional to apply going forward.
Yeah, permit me to interject a bit briefly. The other feature that the one that is very easy, whether it's a new building or not, as far as a drop of rain touches POP does not know how to hide secrets. If it's gypsum board, it may hide, except it shows it's damp at the seams. If it's cement board, it may hide at the seams, but the regular POP is, of course, is family of gypsum and all of that, but the POP strand,
Discoloration.
it will discolor within 48 hours once water touches it. So be very, very critical. Look at it with a critical eye. Any house that has POP ceiling, that's usually one of the easiest giveaways, because you may not notice it on the paint. You may not. Like he has said, all these ones will show. But if you are not a construction professional, it may be quite difficult for you, to be honest, because you have to really, really look into corners and crevices. But POP does not have shame, it will always show. So that one is usually the easiest giveaway. And of course, for that, also, it's good to check that on a rainy day, or a day when it has just finished raining. Or if it's dry season, maybe if it's dry season, that may be difficult. But you would, if it's a new house in dry season, is when it will be difficult. But other than that, you will definitely catch it. You will always catch it.
Okay, for an old house in dry season, watch out for flakiness. Moisture would have dried and there will be crumbling of the block work. Like the Yoruba will say, "Ontu, ile entu." You would touch it and then the house will be the block work will be falling apart in your hands. Watch out for that, especially for a house that has stayed long. The longer a house stays, the stronger it becomes. That's the point of concrete buildings or sandcrete blocks. If you touch the old house and you can feel the block following your fingerprints, then you should be worried, especially if it's not a new house. For even new houses, and if they've not, say, rescreeded the house or something, the block work should not be smearing your hand. The block should have dried so much that you should not have any business. So during dry season, try to hit the wall with your hand, the corners. If you start to feel the paint following your hand, like crumbling off into your hands, then it may not be a red flag, but it should set you on your alert that this should be checked. I hope that's explicit enough. But POP is, I agree, POP is it will brown. You would see brownish or blackish discoloration. So many of those incidents where you see someone say, oh, their POP fell off, you will see that if they share a previous video of that place, there were already discolorations in the environment. They just didn't take it serious enough to flag it or to break it down or to alert the landlord or do something about it. So do we have other questions, please? I know we have quite a number of people here. Do we have other questions, please? What are your unique situations that you have dealt with Mould and that you are concerned about? You are concerned about these things in your spaces.
Oh, please, I thank you for us saying this. Something just crossed my mind. We didn't put in the presentation. Apologies for that. Your offices are also very, very critical places. A lot of people, and I'm not just saying this because I want to renovate. Yes, I want to renovate, to be very explicit. However, I'm saying this for the sake of people's health. You need your a lot of offices have now. Let me say the most common place where damp is found statistically in offices: storage rooms and libraries. So if you're a lawyer or you have a friend who is a lawyer and they are always what's it called, wheezing, all these respiratory issues are usually happening to them, or they are losing their hair. If you are a fine girl, fine boy, and you are losing your hair, and it's not as if you have reached the age of balding and all of those things, it's very critical. It's very critical to check the office. So if you're a civil servant as well, those are offices that have a lot of books. Some of us, our offices are, we have a lot of computers and less of physical books. But if you are in an office where you use a lot of books, you have a storeroom that has all kinds of cartons and stuff, that one it may not even be the building itself that is bad. For those ones, it's just like our HOP said, it may just be because you have not ventilated that space well. And most of those spaces tend to be poorly ventilated, or you rely on air conditioners. Our air conditioners are giving us problems in Africa. And it's not just Africa. Every tropical country has that. If you follow SnagInspector, you see that we've shared posts of these issues in Kenya, Tanzania, Indonesia, and Malaysia. We've shared that so that you know it's a global problem. It's not that we are creating a problem because we want to make money. No, it's a global issue for tropical areas and Mediterranean areas. So that's talking about Portugal and the rest. So your libraries, your storage rooms in your offices. So if you have anyone who has respiratory issues, they have inflammation on their eyes, their eyes are itching, all of those symptoms that Dr. Obasi has already mentioned in the course of presentation, there is a very strong chance that there is mold, mildew, and all kinds of damp there. And of course, we'll be happy to fix it. If it is just your cartons and books, take them out. But if it is not, let's fix. We definitely need to intervene and fix such for you. So I just thought I should mention that because as he spoke about houses, so a lot of us don't get ill from our houses. We get ill from our offices because, of course, you spend up to sometimes 15 hours in the office if you are a lawyer, for example. So just wanted to mention that as well. So
thank you very much, Mr. General Secretary. Do we have more questions? This is a life and death issue. People have lost their lives. Please, can we have mention in WhatsApp for those who have network issues? We will be share the okay. Send a message to, go ahead, please. Riri, I'm not sure I got the name, but go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon from where I am.
Good afternoon.
I'm outside the country, and I only recently, I don't want to say recently, but intentionally started paying attention to things that have to do with building and construction and things like that in Nigeria when I actually started to have one or two business with, buying, looking out to buy, looking out to build, and all of that. Even before you became very vocal about this, one of the issues personally, some of some of my friends here is we don't understand why in Nigeria they build the way they build now, and is actually, I don't know, maybe because of the climate, there are things we're not supposed to be doing that we do. And my experience with mold, because I actually didn't know about it until I started living here, and I've experienced something like that in one of the apartments I've lived in, but it was just strange for me to actually see that, in Nigeria it's starting to happen as well. Because growing up, I personally don't have any experience, with that. But my only question I wanted to ask is for anybody, because we are not in there, but for anybody needing your services, or are you limited to where in the country you can actually go to inspect properties, or to actually say we have a renovation we are trying to do, maybe any other place in the southwest or any other part of the country? Are you limited by geographically? Like, do you have places you can't go to, or it depends on what it is exactly we are trying to do?
Okay, for the sake of time, thank you very much for.
Yeah. Just want to,
Yes, so SpaceCube operates nationally, and we even have inquiries outside of Nigeria in other West African countries. As long as it's a bus can get there, a plane can get there, the team will be there.
Okay.
We have projects in Abuja, we have projects in Akwa Ibom, in Lagos, Abeokuta. The project that we showed just now was in Auchi in Edo State. So feel free to send a DM, text the WhatsApp number that has just been dropped.
Okay.
Someone would take it up from there, and they'll be happy to engage with you. So anyway, the team will be there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
More questions, please. So I like to correct a notion. When we were growing up, it was not necessarily that there was no mold. Sometimes, I would like to quote Louis Pasteur, who says, observation is for the prepared mind. Because you don't know what to look out for, you often don't know what is confronting you. Sometimes when people go to hospital back and forth for extended period of time because of catarrh, because of cold, because the child is wheezing, or they're having palpitations, it is mold or damp. But because we were used to, oh, it's malaria, I'm feeling feverish, we just assume that it is malaria, or it is stress, or it is cold. Many people, many homes. I know someone staying in Jos who recently had the same issue, and it was because she had watched things online that she was able to connect together. Oh, this is what I'm going through. So I want to say that it is awareness that has increased. It is not that mold is a new thing that is happening to Nigeria. And because of the awareness, many supposedly dry places are now also incorporating DPM and DPC. So you have places like Agege in Lagos, you have places like Abuja that ordinarily you say they don't need DPC or DPM. Everybody's using it now. And I hope that many of us would also imbibe it in our new projects, because it is better that you get it right from the start than hope that it doesn't become a problem in the future. Any other questions, please? This is quite a sensitive topic, and I really, really want us to ask every question that we want to ask on the topic of mold, damp, respiratory illnesses. In fact, there's a new research where they said it affects reproductive health, that molds and the associated issues affect reproductive health in adults. That's how deadly this is. So if you have specific scenarios that you'd like us to speak to, this is the time to ask your questions.
Okay, Mr. President, I would also just like to add that majority of some of these problems that we are talking about are avoidable. And what I mean by being avoidable for new structures that are just to come up is from the aspect of construction awareness. Some of the people we give our buildings to, them Baba Mulika and the likes, so many of them are not aware of so many things. For example, I would say the level of your site. In situations where your road level is practically higher than your site level, that is a red flag. And structures built on lower levels are bound to have water stagnation, and such building would be damp, because when the runoff water cannot find its way into the drains, it becomes a whole lot of a problem. And also doing backfilling, I want to believe some of us would have seen why some people prefer to use sharp sand to backfill than the conventional clay sand, simply because for sharp sand, it can easily allow water to pass through. And what I mean is, okay, maybe from the top coming down, water can easily pass through. but they cannot flow up easily. Why for clay soils, it retains water. It's very good in retaining water, and before you know it, over time, the block wall, because it's made of the block, your blocks are made of sand, the block wall absorbs the water and it causes rising dam. These are additional construction methodologies that you as a client, or you as someone who is not a building professional, might not know about. And even the people you give your building to construct for you also do not know, and they just do it and they say, well, we did all of this, without knowing that these are what they call, these are some of the steps that they missed out on. Even your building orientation, in cases where you have a particular wall that receives a lot of water splash and has minimal sunlight, before you know it, that wall can get, before you know it, the wall will get damp over time.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'd like to acknowledge persons.
And it is that come again, sir.
I'd like to acknowledge persons, certain VIPs amongst us here, whilst we take the questions. I have the pleasure to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Ayuba Ogunshanu. He's the first vice president for the LASCOFED network, which is the cooperative network in Lagos. And he's also the youth coordinator for youths in cooperative in Lagos. So Rainy does not exist in isolation. We exist as part of a community of cooperatives all over Lagos, and we are 1 million strong people. And Mr. Ayuba is gracing us with his presence, and is also learning with us this evening. Whilst we were here, the president of LASCOFED also, I saw him come in and leave, and the executive secretary of LASCOFED were also here. So these are accomplished professionals who are middle-aged, they are experienced. I know that the ES she's an estate valuer by training. So this is how much value this kind of conversation is to people high, low, young, and old. So if you have been wondering what is the ado about this, I'd like you to take it very, very, very seriously. Omar, please, do you have the picture of our Lekki project? I'd like to show something, a video of something that we did, we are doing currently in a Lekki project. Rainydaycoop has a Lekki project that, if you'd like to be a part of it, we took level from the road to the natural, from the road to where the building will start is about 3 feet, if I remember correctly. We were there on Saturday, and it means that the building will not have any problem with water flowing back into the house. Many homeowners, when you tell them that they should raise the level of their building, which is where your surveyor is also important in setting out your new construction, they would think that, oh, these people just want to collect money. This person just wants me to buy more blocks. Whereas it is the necessary precaution for you to avoid the ingress of water, especially if you're, like the architect said, if your road is higher than the ground level of your compound. So you have a lot of that in places where, like Lekki, for example, I'll use Lekki as a popular example, where you are supposed to drive into the compound, you descend into the compound. If that ever is the case, you should raise the level of your house upwards, that the house is at least in some cases 1.2, as much as 1.2, some 2 meters higher than the road level. Your surveyor will be able to tell you what for the most part, the surveyor and the architect, they would agree on what the typical erosion level in that area is, and they would measure your ground level for your house, which is after you climb into your compound, where you would set your foot on. If you are standing on your compound at the entrance of your house, that place has to be a lot higher than the street. If that is not the case, you would, like you said, see water flowing back in and soaking into your building. I'm trying to find a picture to illustrate this point. So I see a lot of owners say, oh, that's going to cost me a lot of blocks. That's going to this and that. Okay. That's a video playing. So you can see this is the foundation of the building. All of this that I'm standing beside is going to disappear into the ground. If you can't see it, let me know. But all of this that I'm standing beside, that is almost at my waist, is going to disappear into the ground. Why? The road level is quite high and the environment is in Lekki. So that's a project that Rainy is undertaking. It's a 5-bedroom duplex. That means we have to build it very well. And if you look at the surrounding houses, you can see that even their own level is quite high too. So look at the difference between where I'm standing to that foundation and the ground level of the house. The floor for the person that will eventually live in the house is 2 feet above the iron structure that you are seeing. I don't want to use any technical word. That slab I'm putting my hands on, it is 2 feet above it. So there is no way that water will flow back into that compound. Do we understand what I'm saying? If you need any explanation, please let me know. If you are intending to build in Nigeria, especially areas that are prone to flooding, you must ensure that this is properly done, or else you have only wasted your money. Let's call it what it is. Your foundation has to be done right from day one. I'm saying this in every language so that you don't think that, oh, they are speaking English that you don't understand. Your foundation has to be properly done from scratch, because once you miss the foundation, even the scriptures say it, that there's nothing you can do again after the foundation has been destroyed. That's another angle to the distance between where I'm standing and where the foundation is starting. And then the building will go another 2 feet before the floor. So there will be a ramp for the cars that come into the building to climb up into that structure. So if you have any question, please drop your question here, and we are now approaching the end of the Q&A session gradually. Any questions, please? So to everyone who asked for a recording of the session, we do well to drop your WhatsApp number. We would also upload the videos on YouTube. We will share it. If we have your contacts, we'll share it with you. And we are happy to continue to engage with you on an ongoing basis whether you want to build, whether you want to renovate, or you just want to invest in real estate. The team at SpaceCube is happy to collaborate with you. In the absence of any question, I'd like to appreciate everyone who has shown up, from our leaders at LASCOFED, our members at Rainy Day, and to everyone who joined us from various other groups and our followers online. Thank you very much. And do not hesitate to, once again, do not hesitate to send us questions if you have any. And I wish you a fine evening.
your passport. Email receipt. You're gonna